Why not?
What's up, everyone? I'm Coach D. Hey, if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 200,000 subscribers, and as always, I really do appreciate you guys. One of the biggest issues I find with many people in this country is their unwillingness to dig deep into the information, do some critical thinking, look into things, look up information, rather than listening to someone who screams into a camera every day and just taking their word at face value. There are so many issues that people have with Zohran Mamdani's stance on things. And Stephen A. Smith is one of these people who turns his camera on every day, yells into it, says, makes these statements, bunch of platitudes, bunch of talking points, and just yells them with conviction. And then you'll have these MAGAs and Republicans post his video and say, Stephen A. Smith goes off on Zohran Mamdani, and what he says makes so much sense. And if you literally just take a little time to Google information, look a little bit deeper, do some critical thinking, you'll find that the information is there and that Stephen A. Smith is just an idiot yelling into a camera. I'm going to play this video of him going off on the things he disagrees with about Zohran Mamdani. And then I'm going to show you exactly how Stephen A. Smith could himself have found the information rather than saying things like, how's he going to do that? How are we going to get that done? He put it out there. The information is there. Your news sources have written articles about his entire plan. You don't have to yell into your microphone, how's he going to do it? Because what you can actually do is a little bit of research, a little bit of critical thinking, and you'll find that the information is already there.
I'm going to tell you why I'm not happy about it. I like Mamdani. I'm looking forward to interviewing him. He's promised to be on this show. But I'm very, very concerned about some of the things that he said. I'm very concerned about what he once said about defunding the police. I'm calling 911. I'm being real with you. I'm calling 911. That's what I'm doing. I don't want to see less police officers. I want to see more police officers. I heard him talk about mental health experts in the subway system. I don't care about that. I want cops in the subways in New York City, where I was born and raised. Born in the Bronx, raised in Queens. That's what I want. I want to hear about no damn mental health experts in subways. Nah, I'm not trying to hear that, okay?
I want people with guns showing up to shoot people. If I got a problem in my community, I don't care if those people have mental health issues. I don't care if they're veterans. I don't care if they're old grandmothers who just going through a mental health crisis. I want someone with a gun to show up and shoot them. That is what you are saying right now. And here's the thing, Stephen A. He wants to create what he calls a Department of Community Safety that would dispatch mental health workers for people who are dealing with mental health crisis. He's not saying he's just going to put mental health people on subways. When you say, I want a police officer there, I'm calling 911. There are many cities that already do this. I work in a city that does this. There was a time when this car rolled up and it had an acronym on it for some type of health association or whatever. And there were police officers with them. So first of all, typically police officers show up with them. Once the police officers realize the person is just having a mental health crisis and they just need someone to be there for them, talk to them, give them the resources that they need, the police officers are actually happy to get on their way and go and find actual criminals. You see, we shouldn't be deploying people with guns to deal with situations where a gun is not needed. And I've talked to the police officers, like I've actually walked up to them and said, what do you guys think of this? And they said, listen, we bring them out here. Once we see that there's not a threat to anyone, We let them do their work. Why should we stand around and, help this person do this and do that and talk to them about things that we can get someone else to do? So now we get to leave this call sooner and go do some things that actually keep the community safe. See, when you just yell shit into a microphone, into a camera, without thinking deeply, you have people like Stephen A. Smith saying, I need someone with a gun to show up. I'm calling 911. I don't care. Dude, you're talking about deploying people with guns to deal with veterans who are going through some things, grandmothers and grandfathers who are going through some things. Yes, there are going to be times when that police officer with a gun is needed, but it's not every single time. And all he is saying, all Zohran Mamdani is saying is that, hey, let's allow our police officers to do police work, and let's allow mental health experts to deal with people who are dealing with mental health issues. That seems like common sense to me.
2% tax on the rich. Okay, fine. 11.5% capital gains tax. On its face, okay, fine. Free buses. Free grocery stores in each borough. Really? Really think that's going to work?
First of all, for everything that I've read, there's no proposal to have free groceries in every borough or free grocery stores in every borough. There are proposals to have grocery stores that sell groceries at wholesale prices because people can't afford their groceries. Here's another problem I have with these people. They just want to yell about someone trying to bring forth solutions, but they never have any solutions. He's going to talk about, I grew up in New York. I did this in New York. Okay, but people can't afford their groceries. What are your solutions? If you don't like his ideas, what are your ideas? Because right now, there are no ideas to make people's groceries cheaper except for his. So if you have a problem with his ideas, go ahead and propose your own. But he doesn't do that. He just yells things that are not true. Let's talk about making buses free. The city of New York has a budget of $100 billion. It's actually north of $100 billion. To pay for free buses for everyone, it costs $800 million. Now, yes, $800 million is a lot of money, but when you think about a city with a budget of $100 billion, this is just moving some things around. A lot of times when people propose these things, they're not even talking about raising the common man's taxes or anything like that. They're just basically saying, we have a budget already that is this big. We're going to take this much of that budget and pay for some things. 800 million in a budget of 100 billion is not that crazy. It's not at all. So he brought up the 2% flat tax on people making over $1 million. That is $20,000. That's not asking a lot. He also brought up the 11.5% capital gains tax. That's already happening in New Jersey. So Zohran Mamdani is just saying, let's bring that to New York City. I don't have a problem with that. But again, Stephen A. Smith, instead of just yelling into a camera a bunch of platitudes with no solutions, how about offering up some solutions? Because right now you have none. Zohran Mamdani is saying people can't afford their groceries and people can't afford to take the bus to their job that you freaking Republicans are always yelling about people need to get more of. So he's saying, I want to move some things around. I want to make sure I tax the rich enough so that we can pay for things that people need. And again, there are no proposals for free grocery stores in every borough. There are proposals for grocery stores that sell groceries at wholesale prices so people can afford them. What are your proposals to feed people if you don't like his? That's all I'm asking. I'm just asking for someone to come up with solutions, because if you don't like the person or the solutions that the person in charge or people who want to do things are putting out there, put yours out there. Stephen A. Smith has no solutions. He has platitudes. He has talking points, but he has nothing deeper than that. And that is why I say people in this country need to do the work. You need to do the legwork. You need to look into these things. The information is out there. Don't just take people like Stephen A. Smith yelling into a camera and think that what they're telling you is the truth. Because typically they're either lying or they don't know anything their damn selves.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at a crossroads in this nation. And there's no way to slice it. And the level of vitriol that you see amongst the American citizen is because, God forbid, that you have a difference of opinion. It's not enough to agree. People have to be disagreeable. And you have to be selfish if you're a person that's rich, that's making money, and you don't want to pay your fair share of taxes.
Dude, being a millionaire or billionaire and not wanting to pay your fair share in taxes is the literal definition of being selfish. What are you talking about? Stephen A. Smith is an idiot, and I don't even know how he has this seat right now.
Well, when you think about the billionaires in the state, in the city of New York, they make up about 48% in terms of the amount of taxes that they dole out compared to the average American, compared to the rest of New Yorkers.
First of all, I hate the argument, and I hate how they always frame the argument. They always frame it as, well, they're paying 48%. They make it like this big number. They're also making millions and billions. They are supposed to be. They're going to be paying more. No one is saying they're not going to be paying more. But it doesn't mean they can't pay a little bit more to make sure that people are fed. We are arguing over people's basic needs here. Making sure people are fed. And then I hate this part, what he's going to do next, which is basically threaten to leave New York, or how billionaires and millionaires will threaten to leave New York if Zohran Mamdani tries to tax them anymore.
And if you're talking about raising their taxes while doing these other things, you're making New York unattractive, not just for residents, but for businesses. And if you make it unattractive for businesses and you compromise the ability to be the capitalist that these people are, then they take their businesses elsewhere. So the money that they paid on their homes or in rent, they move out of the city or the state. Businesses follow. And ultimately the tax burden falls on to New Yorkers out there, which means that rent freezes, which is also something that Mamdani pushed. Is that really going to be plausible? Are you really going to be able to freeze rent? Or are you going to end up hiking it because you don't have enough people here to pay it?
Such a dumb argument. These businesses are in New York for a reason. And this is something that they try to do all the time, and they're not going anywhere because they realize they're in a place that makes them a lot of money. So they're not going anywhere. And to take these threats would be just absolutely dumb of any mayor or city council ever. I've gone to city council meetings where big businesses were trying to come into a city. And I've seen this happen. The city will basically bend over, get on their knees, and give these companies anything they want. Give them anything. Like, I live in a city where we have a softball park. This softball park, the owners came in and the city should pay our utilities, the city should pay this and do this, and the city ends up doing all these things for this place. Then they get here. And they have the most horribly run businesses. They don't take care of the fields. They don't take care of the scoreboards. And people just take it because the city is like, we need them here. So they don't tell them to do anything. So now you have these kids playing on these horrible run, surfaces in these horrible run parks where they're charging people to get in and all of this stuff. And these businesses know they don't have to do a damn thing because the city is afraid that they'll leave. Stop allowing that to happen. These cities are thriving for a reason, and these businesses are there because these cities are thriving. And you think he would get elected by 50% of the people if he didn't already have millionaires and billionaires who are telling him these are things that can be done. There are rich people on the Democratic side of things as well who are able and willing to do more as long as they know that everyone else is going to be doing more as well. This, again, Stephen A. Smith, is not a smart person. I don't know why people think that this guy, who does no research at all, just yells out platitudes and talking points and regurgitates things that he's seen on memes and stuff like that, is anyone. Again, he has no solutions. He's sitting here saying he wants to do this, he wants to do that, and he's lying, first of all, because some of the things he said were flat out lies. But second of all, he has absolutely no solutions. Zohran Mamdani has already addressed every single thing he talked about. He talked about him wanting to defund the police. He's already addressed the police department about this. He's basically said, we want to keep the police that we have in place. We want to keep the police chief in place for the most part. But we want to also make sure that we're not deploying people with guns to deal with someone who doesn't need a person with a gun. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Please, take time, do the work, look into things, Do not take these people at their word, because most of the time, they're absolutely lying to you. Period.
Don't want no enemies or ops. Envy in their heart, I tell them stop. Vacation on the yacht.